Okay, this is the room I'm going to be filming in. That's my mom who's going to be recording. This is the room. And that's going to be where my visual aids are. Okay. If you live in Florida, then you're probably familiar with oceans and beaches. Oceans and beaches are a huge part of what attract people to Florida in the first place. However, oceans, beaches, and other bodies of waters like rivers, lakes, and streams are being polluted. This pollution is caused by people and businesses, and it is negatively impacting us and the environment. This directly affects us in a negative way even if we don't notice, and that's a huge part of the problem. We don't notice. Today I'm going to walk you through some of the causes and effects of water pollution, and I hope you can see that this impacts us all in one way or the other. The truth is we all cause some form of water pollution, and this isn't about pointing fingers and placing the blame on anyone in particular, but about us as a nation taking responsibility and fixing this large issue. So what causes us to pollute? Is it because we don't realize that we're doing it, or because we don't care? Pollution happens so much because most of us aren't even aware that it happens on a daily basis. And because finding ways to not pollute is hard, time consuming, and often inconvenient. When we finish using something like a plastic water bottle, there aren't always recycling bins to throw it in. So we usually end up just throwing it somewhere so it's out of our sight and out of our minds. This plastic is usually carried by the rain and ends up in a large body of water like an ocean or a river. Because of this, there are millions of tons of plastic and trash in the oceans. And if more people were informed about this pollution and there were more easy ways to recycle, then we could possibly lessen this particular part of the issue. This is a very small scale example of water pollution, however. If we want to talk about water pollution on a large scale, then we must look to big businesses. When talking about water pollution, we have to think of businesses and corporations. Big businesses are by far the largest source of water pollution on this planet. Big business contribute not only trash, but sewage. Sewage is wastewater that is filled with feces and other toxic chemicals. And if we look at this pie chart right here, we can see that litter is actually 5%, which is the smallest form of water pollution. The biggest forms of water pollution are actually things like maritime transport and offshore oil. The bigger forms of pollution are done by large companies dumping waste into the ocean on a large scale. Millions of pounds of trash and waste are dumped into the ocean, and it mostly goes unnoticed by people like us. Here in the US, it is legal to dump trash in the ocean as long as the company dumps the trash into a designated spot in the ocean. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, as of July 2019, ocean dumping is completely legal. A company can dump trash, toxic chemicals, and other forms of waste directly into the ocean as long as it is dumped in a designated spot that has been deemed suitable by the US government. However, this isn't going to help anything because, as we know, water moves. Ocean currents can move trash from one spot of the ocean to the other and place it all over the world. So having a designated spot isn't really helpful because water can be spread anywhere. So now that we know what causes pollution on a large scale and a small scale, let's move on to the most important part, which is how this is affecting us and the environment. Humans were never meant to eat the toxic chemicals found in the ocean today. You may think, well, it doesn't matter what a fish eats, but you'd be wrong. Whenever you eat fish and other marine animals like seafood, you could be possibly ingesting the toxic chemicals that were initially eaten by them. The chemicals can have a negative impact on your health. Some of the chemicals in the ocean pollution that can end up in your food are lead, cadmium, mercury, and many more. According to the US Institute of Health, toxic found in plastic in the ocean are directly linked to cancer, birth defects, immune system disorders, childhood development issues, and many more. Nobody wants that, and you might not think it can happen to you until it does, or it happens to someone that you love. Even more important than the food we eat is the water we drink, and right now our water is at risk. According to the Natural Resource Defense Council, as of 2019 in April, nearly half of our rivers and streams and more than 1/3 of our lakes are polluted and are unfit for swimming, drinking, and more importantly, drinking. We rely on water every day for drinking, cooking, bathing, and so much more. Allowing it to be polluted is going to directly negatively impact our health. Thankfully, it's not all bad, and there is hope for our water, which brings me to the more positive side of this issue. Pollution, as well as other environmental issues, have been a huge topic over the past few years. Many politicians are adding it to their speeches and their policies. When I was watching the Democratic debates recently, I noticed how many candidates, like Bernie Sanders, were bringing up ideas that he had for fixing environmental issues, one of those being water pollution and global warming. When we leave this class today and go on about our lives, we should think more about our role in ocean pollution. We must ask ourselves, what are we personally doing that causes pollution, and what can we do better? Water is one of our most basic needs, and protecting it should be at the forefront of all of our minds. This is something we cannot afford to ignore. We must take notice before it's too late and it negatively impacts us, our environment, and the animals.